If people didn't invent gods, I wouldn't have to deny them. And it's just...
You believe in one God, I assume?
In three persons, but go ahead.
Okay, so you believe... Okay. Mm-hmm. So, but there are about 3,000 to choose from that have been, people who believe in...
I've done some reading, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So basically, you believe in... You deny one less God than I do. You don't believe in 2,999 gods, and I don't believe in just one more.
Right.
I think religion's greatest trick wasn't convincing some people that there was a God who was all-powerful. It was convincing everyone else that you couldn't ridicule that idea.
Everyone knows Ricky Gervais is a world-class atheist. Don't get me wrong, he doesn't want to mock religion, he just hates that your logic doesn't work. While most people are too busy bowing, terrified to question the divine, Ricky is the only guy pointing out the emperor is naked.
And there's also this strange thing that I get from faithful people. Why don't you believe in God? Well, that's a very strange question. Why don't you believe in God? You came up with it. Why would I? As to saying I don't know, well, if you're agnostic about God in all his glory and in all his impossibility, you've got to be the same about Santa.
Comparing God to Santa is one thing, but Ricky can do you one even better. It's already getting bloodthirsty out here, guys.
Well, someone said on Twitter once to me, why don't you pray just in case there's a God? And I said, why don't you put garlic over your door just in case there's a Dracula? But I've got no problem with praying. It doesn't bother me. I've never been bothered by spirituality. I don't believe in it, but a personal belief has never been a danger. It exists in more and more places now. That cultism, that which shouldn't be questioned. Anything that. That's what you want to question. If someone says you shouldn't question this, you've got to question it. You've got to question it.
If you're praying just in case, you've already lost the argument. Even better, out of the thousands of gods in human history, yours just happens to be the right one? Ricky finds that coincidence a little too convenient.
Well, this is the other thing, that sometimes I say to Christians, why do you believe in that God? And they say, well, it's the only God to believe in. I went, but if you were born in Delhi, you wouldn't believe in that God, probably. If you were born in ancient Rome, you certainly wouldn't believe in that God. But it is a thing there that they...
Yes, you believe in the God of your parents and your grandparents. Most people do.
I think so, yeah. I mean, there's conversions, and there are many people that seek one. They window shop. They go, what can you do for me? What do I have to do? Forget it. What do you do? I can still smoke and drink? I'll have that one. Of course.
If you think this is brutal, wait until you see him walk Stephen Colbert into a logic trap that leaves the host speechless later on. Honestly, though, he has figured out why people are so emotionally invested in religion. And during a podcast with Russell Brand, he made a pretty solid observation.
I think, apart from people wanting there to be some sort of divine justice, because that would be great. Good people would be rewarded and bad people would be punished. Brilliant. Okay, it doesn't work like that. You only have to look at, children in Africa being born with cancer, and we know that's not. We know mysterious ways isn't an explanation. Okay, that to me is someone who doesn't know the answer and says mysterious ways.
So basically, according to Gervais, people desire to find a utopia, an inherently good place. That's why they want to go to heaven. But how do you actually get in? Ricky has the so-called policy right here.
Who wants to go to heaven? Well, one, it doesn't exist. There's no evidence. It's the thing that people do to make kids behave, which is a good thing. We want kids to behave. But if you're only doing something because you think you'll get rewarded in heaven or punished in hell, that doesn't make you a good person. That makes you a sheep. So suppose there is a heaven, okay? Let's look at that, right? What are the rules? I've heard loads of different rules. I've heard if you're good, you'll go to heaven. Then I've heard, oh, you can be bad, but just apologise at the end. So I don't know who to believe. I do. Science.
See, if heaven is a club, the door policy is absolutely unhinged, especially when Ricky breaks down the stinging logic of the afterlife. It's definitely not looking good for the righteous.
An atheist can't get into heaven, right? But someone who murders someone and says sorry on his deathbed can be.
It's a little loophole there. Some of the tax laws.
It's full of murderers who said sorry. It's just...
Right at the
and they're victims who didn't do anything wrong. No, so, hold on. So if you murder an atheist... He goes to hell. He'll have to say sorry and you go to heaven.
Yeah, it works out.
That's not right, is it?
Be honest, does it bother you that a sinner can find a loophole while a good atheist is kicked at the gate? Yes, he's aware that many people say atheism leads to evil. Ricky has a perfectly good response to that. He sat down with Richard Dawkins to discuss this, in a church no less. Yes, the irony isn't lost on me either.
It is. Hitler actually wasn't an atheist.
No, I know, he was a Catholic, wasn't he?
Yes. Stalin probably was an atheist, but neither of them did their good things or their bad things. Not they didn't.
Of course not.
Neither of them did their bad things because they believed or because they didn't believe in God.
No, of course not. It was irrelevant. I remember, I thought, what were you on? Were you on a show in America when someone said, well, Stalin and Hitler were both atheists, and I think you said, well, they both had moustaches as well.
Yes.
It's just as relevant. A totally irrelevant statistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, they're clutching at straws.
Yes.
They're clutching at straws.
Still, that doesn't stop extremely stupid people from calling him out. Make it make sense for this one, guys.
If I say I don't believe in any God, right, that's... And they say, why are you forcing your opinions on other people? I'm not forcing my opinions. You can unfollow.
Yeah.
You're following me. How can I force my opinions? And if I was forcing my opinion on you, what difference would it make to you? If your faith is strong, it makes no difference.
Right.
So what are you worried about? I told you the famous one, everyone's entitled to their opinion, so shut up about your atheism. And that just sums it up, really. It's that's you know, it's very strange that you can't... And I'm not trying to change anyone's opinion. I couldn't care less, if you believe it. I really couldn't.
You're just giving yours.
Unless it affects me. Some things do. And that's the other thing I say, for somebody who doesn't believe in God, why do you care so much? Well, I don't care about God, he doesn't exist. I care about the people who think he exists and want to stone me to death for being an atheist. That's what I care about.
But my most favorite moment of someone trying to threaten Ricky Gervais over being an atheist is this scathing tweet, made better by Ricky, of course.
Your science won't help you when Satan... Of course he believes in Satan, why wouldn't he?
Sure.
He believes God made the earth in 6 days. It's like you're going to go, do you believe in Satan? He's going to go, nah, that's a bit irrational, you know. So he believes in Satan, right?
Yeah, sure.
Your science won't help you when Satan is raping your British ass. He's got a point. Because if no, he has got a point. Because if I die and I find myself in hell being raped by Satan, science has pretty much let me down.
Make sure you stick around for the end because Ricky reveals the one thing he can actually values more than God. It truly has the temptation to make most people quit their God. It truly has the temptation to make most people quit their God. You'd think, like most people, Ricky learned the intricacies of religion and the proof of science after being an adult. But turns out he's been at it since he was a young teenager at school.
But I was studying for an exam when I was about 15, and there's this flower, right, that's got a little lever that when the bee comes and lands on it, the stamen comes down and touches a bit of pollen on the bee, then goes to another flower and the female comes down. And I understood evolution, and I had a crisis and I locked myself in my bedroom, and I was going, oh my God, how can that? And I just calmed down and I worked out. I go, okay, yeah, of course, natural selection, and I worked through it again, and I came out and I was fine.
But when the haters start throwing stones at the theory of evolution, asking Ricky to explain the gaps, oh, he takes absolutely no prisoners doing so.
If we evolved from apes, why are there still apes around? Well, if God made man from dust, why is there still dust around? And things like,
Every superhero has a beginning. For Ricky, the light bulb didn't come from a church. It came from the realization that the stories he was being told as a child didn't add up.
What was the moment that made you into an atheist?
I love Jesus. I love the idea of, I love the idea of Jesus because he was like a superhero. The God bit wasn't so special to me, but I love Jesus because he was kind, and I read the stories in the New Testament about what I thought it was brilliant bloke. Well, that's the way to be like Jesus, And I remember I was doing the Bible studies and stuff, and my brother Bob came in, who was 11 years older than me, so he was about 19, and he just went, why do you believe in God? And my mum went, Bob, and I knew. She was trying to shut him up. And and that was all that happened. And I thought about it, I thought, oh no, of course there isn't. Of course there isn't. And I was always into science and nature, and I thought, yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it?
Now, with this evolved level of realization, imagine Ricky as a school child, where stubborn teachers are even worse than modern-day preachers. Sir, you have no idea the canon you have enrolled at your school.
I've been an atheist since I was about 8 or 9, and when I went to secondary school, by then I knew about natural selection, the Big Bang Theory, carbon dating, and the Earth was 4 billion years old. And so my poor RE teacher, I was the bane of his life. He hated me. He hated me because I was smart and I wouldn't let him get away with any bollocks, right? So when he said things like, and God made the heaven and the earth in 6 days, and the Earth is 5,000 years old. No, it isn't. No, it's 4 billion years old. Why? How can he do that? God can do anything. Well, why did he do it in 6? Why did he do it in 5? Let's push him a little bit. And
clearly nobody has been able to stand up to him in decades.
This is how stupid this teacher was. A kid asked him, he said, "Sir, why do we swear on the Bible in a court of law?" Clearly, the answer is, if you believe in God, if that's your God, you believe in him, you believe he's watching you, you get a guilt trip, you don't lie. He hadn't worked that out. So thinking on his feet, he said, because every law of the land is mentioned in the Bible. I went, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. He went, no, it is. Somewhere in the Bible, every law of this land is mentioned. I went, what, even video piracy?
But now that he's actually opened the Bible, the comedy practically writes itself. Turns out the good book is a goldmine for someone with a logic fetish.
I came across a theory that deviates from Darwin's, and I believe that. I just found it in a dusty old book in a library. It's called the Bible. And Darwin was wrong. We didn't evolve, God made us. Chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. It doesn't go into detail. He doesn't need to explain to you. You probably understand it because he's got a massive brain. Yours is little, and you go, "What?" He goes, "Don't. What? Just trust me."
He even took a step further and brought out a children's copy of Noah's Ark at a stand-up show. I know. Who hasn't seen Ricky dismantling the wooden boat by now?
I got to this bit and I said, "They are so wicked, I will have to wipe my face to the earth." And Carl goes, "He sounds gay." I went, "What do you mean?" He went, "Some gays are a bit like that." He thought God was having a hissy fit. Like God's going, "Look what they've done. No, they're treating me like I'm going to treat them like a I said, "Carl, God is not gay." Right? Read the Bible, he hates them.
You know what? The best part of Ricky's mode of attacks isn't just savage takedowns. He's more than happy to have a healthy, logical discussion on your religious beliefs and then take you down for it.
And I know I can't convince you that there is a God, nor do I really want to convince you there's a God, but I can only explain my experience, which is that I have a strong desire to direct that gratitude toward something or someone.
Of course.
And that thing is God.
We're mortal. We want to make sense of nature and science, and it's too unfathomable that everything in the universe was once crunched into something smaller than an atom.
But you don't know that.
For a moment, it felt like Ricky started buffering. Stephen's point of view did make sense. Let's see how the guest responds to that.
Science is constantly proved all the time. You see, if we take something like any fiction, in any holy book, in any other fiction, and destroyed it, okay, in 1,000 years' time, that wouldn't come back just as it was. Whereas if we took every science book, right, and every fact, and destroyed them all, in 1,000 years, they'd all be back, because all the same tests would be the same result.
That's good. That's really good.
So
That's really good.
I don't need faith in science. I don't need faith to know that probably if I jump out of a window, every other time someone jumps out, they smash to the ground because of this thing called gravity.
And then Satan would be raping you.
This is why I'm a good boy.
Just like that, Stephen Colbert had to admit he's in the presence of an atheist legend. The debate was over before Stephen could even finish his point. Even Piers Morgan tried to catch him in a trap, which of course ended up in Piers gnawing his own leg out of said trap.
Well, if you're a believer in God, if you're a Christian, as many tens of millions in America are, you could see you as poking fun at their religion.
Not at all. How many people thank God every time they say thank God? I don't get offended. Do I?
But you must be aware that a lot of people in America would potentially find that offensive.
What, because I'm saying I don't believe in God?
Yeah, because you're kind of mocking them, you know.
No, I'm not. I'm not mocking them. People's beliefs aren't my concern at all. I certainly don't differentiate between religions either. I look at all religions the same. Unlike religious people, I look at all religions equally.
But Ricky's point is bulletproof. Morality isn't a franchise owned by the church.
In a barroom fight. And they think the best way to do that is to take on Christian values, which preach immorality, but they haven't got the monopoly on good. This is my point. I'm not a Christian, but I live my life in a good way. And some people say, well, who says what's good is? Well, do you know what? I do. I'm good to people because it's the way I want to be treated.
What's a debate without exposing some of the hypocrisy of actual religious people?
We worry about the people who believe the bad bits in their holy book as well as the good bits. Most nice people who believe in God, they can tell the difference. They know the nice bits, they cherry pick and they know the nice bits from the bad bits. They don't do the bad bits. And my point is, if you know the bad bits from the good bits, you don't need the holy book. You know, you're already a moral person.
When it comes down to a choice between an invisible deity and a loyal companion, Ricky's choice is instantaneous. And honestly, the logic checks out. Again.
So if God doesn't give you comfort, what does?
Dogs.
Words.
Dogs are amazing. Dogs are amazing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, that unconditional love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same as your guy.
Right, yeah.
But if you don't love a dog back, it doesn't burn you in hell. It still loves you, it licks you.
Right, it might be upset if it can tell you don't love it.
And I know, after all that, most people think a world without God is empty. This is where Ricky gets deeply poetic in his own critically acclaimed TV show, Afterlife.
If you don't believe in heaven and hell and all that, why don't you just go around raping and murdering as much as you want?
I do.
What?
I do go around raping and murdering as much as I want, which is not at all.
Because he's got a conscience.
But if death is just the end, what's the point?
What's the point in what?
Living. Might as well just kill yourself.
So if you're watching a movie and you're really enjoying it, something with Kevin Hart in,
Yeah.
and someone points out that this will end eventually, do you just go, oh, forget it then, what's the point, and just turn it off?
No, because I can watch it again.
Well, I think life is precious because you can't watch it again. I mean, you can believe in an afterlife if that makes you feel better. Doesn't mean it's true. But once you realise you're not going to be around forever, I think that's what makes life so magical. One day you'll eat your last meal, smell your last flower, hug your friend for the very last time. You might not know it's the last time, so that's why you should do everything you love with passion, you know?
So, here's the final thing about this debate. You could be an incredibly religious person and still listen to Ricky's arguments. Worst case scenario, he'll turn you into an atheist. But best case, he'll invoke you to think about it and you'll come out of it even more unshakable in faith.